the Great North Woods to the Rock Mountain Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, state lawmakers burn the midnight oil to pass a budget plan that includes checks for Mainers. Plus, residents of Tremont consider lifting a hunting ban to deal with an increasing population of deer. And the Brooklyn Boatyard receives a big loan to help boost marine technology and Maine's economy at the same time. We'll have that story as well coming up. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Good Morning Maine. I'm Craig Colson. Janessa Bishop has the day off. We'll have those stories and a lot more for you coming up over the next hour, including the latest on the ceasefire in Iran that seems to be kind of fragile at this point. We'll have an update coming up. But first, a check of that forecast. And if you liked yesterday, you're going to like today even more. It looks like another sunny day on the way with even warmer temperatures. Let's check in with Devin Biggs for a first look at that forecast.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience the Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. A little bit of energy up in Canada, but otherwise a nice day on the way for us with a lot of sunshine, and we have high pressure to thank for the nice weather that will be on the way for us. As we do zoom things out, there's some energy off toward the west, and we'll be watching for some rain chances on the way for us, but otherwise some nice weather expected. But either way, Futurecast showing a mostly sunny sky today. Notice some clouds on the way coming up later on tonight, and we'll watch for a little bit of energy on the way for your Friday, but we'll have to wait until Friday night for some more rain chances. Otherwise, gusty winds coming up, reaching up to around 20 to even 30 miles per hour today, even in the parts of the evening. We'll keep those winds going until about Friday, but even then still some gusts up to around 20 miles per hour. Even for today, sunshine, lower 50s, not bad. There's that south wind up to around 30 miles per hour. Hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, temperatures in the 50s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig?
Looks like a beautiful day ahead. Thank you very much, Devin. We'll see you later on. Well, first this morning, state lawmakers worked well into the night on a state budget plan. The Maine House advanced additions to the spending plan last night, which will include $300 relief checks for more than 500,000 Mainers. It also includes a new 2% tax increase on millionaires, which is expected to generate $150 million over 2 years. Following its passage, it was then sent to the Senate after it was considered in the House, where it was expected to pass in the Senate by the majority Democrats. The $529 million plan will then head back to the House for final consideration. Meanwhile, the Maine House narrowly passed a bill that aims to limit where federal immigration enforcement can conduct their operations here in Maine. LD 2106 affects public schools, state post-secondary educational institutions, healthcare and child care facilities, family child care providers, and public libraries as well. It says anyone acting on behalf of these facilities cannot consent to allow immigration enforcement officers or officers supporting such operations to enter a non-public area of those public facilities. The bill also prohibits the officers from obtaining or even reviewing student, patient, or library records and requires the Attorney General to develop guidance for those facilities.
Even during the first Trump administration, we know that ICE did not go into hospitals or courtrooms or schools. There's no reason that this bill can't restore those protections. We need this bill to restore what we had before, to keep our economy safe, to keep our friends and neighbors safe, and to keep the state working.
We're effectively telling our public schools, our libraries, and our healthcare facilities that they should view federal law enforcement not as partners in public safety, but as entities to be managed, restricted, feared, and completely shut out.
Well, following lengthy testimony, ultimately the House passed the bill with a vote of 77 to 70. The bill now heads to the Senate for consideration. In other news, it was announced earlier this week that the U.S. and Iran had reached a temporary ceasefire after weeks of conflict. Senator Susan Collins joined us in the studio for an in-depth conversation about the ceasefire, along with other issues. Collins expressed relief over the newly reached ceasefire and also discussed her vote against the Senate measure concerning congressional approval for military action in Iran.
If the president commits boots on the ground, sends ground troops to Iran, I believe that congressional authorization for such action is completely required under the War Powers Act, or if the military hostilities last 60 days or more, again, I think that congressional approval is necessary, and I would not vote to approve troops on the ground nor an extension beyond 60 days unless there is a dramatic change.
Senator Collins also discussed the impact of gas prices and the price of heating oil, saying she is a strong supporter of the Low-Income Heating Assistance Program. She said that the president's budget proposes to eliminate that program, but she said she will work to increase that funding instead. We'll be hearing more from Senator Collins over the days ahead. Well, meanwhile, in other news, a man was killed yesterday after crashing a pickup truck in Madison. The Morning Sentinel reports 73-year-old Kenneth Dunphy was behind the wheel when it crashed on Route 148 just before 9 o'clock Wednesday morning. It apparently went off the road and struck a light post. Dunphy was pronounced dead at the scene. It's suspected that the slippery road conditions were a factor in that deadly crash. Authorities have identified the victim of a deadly fire in the town of Wynne. It was on March 19th when crews were called to that home on Route 168. 5 of the occupants managed to escape from the burning home, but one victim was later found in the remains of the home. The medical examiner's office has now positively identified her as 82-year-old Jean Fogg. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. Elliot Cutler will remain in jail. The former gubernatorial candidate was back in court Wednesday, asking that he be released on bail following 4 alleged probation violations. Cutler appeared virtually from jail. His attorney, speaking about the alleged probation violations, saying they are non-criminal offenses and that Cutler has already served 60 days in jail. He asked that Cutler be released from jail and confined to his home. Restrictions pertaining to the internet and electronic devices would remain in place. Prosecutors, though, argued that Cutler has not adhered to his probation thus far, with alleged violations including seeking escort services, possessing unmonitored devices and pornography, and other alleged attempts to circumvent the terms of his probation. They asked that Cutler continue to be held without bail.
I can't find a bail that would be sufficient to guarantee that Mr. Cutler will not violate his bail while he's out again, and that I'm not satisfied for the motions to revoke pre-conviction, post-conviction bail, that there are any conditions that the court can set. So for those reasons, I'm denying the motion to amend the bail or set bail.
Well, again, his request for bail was denied yesterday. It is unclear when Cutler will be back in court regarding the alleged probation violations. Maine State Police say a new scam is targeting individuals on the sex offender registry who are on probation here in Maine. State Police say a letter is being mailed to individuals claiming there has been a data migration error in their records management system, and they need the person to email personal identifying information to an email address listed on that letter. State Police say neither the Maine Sex Offender Registry nor the Maine Department of Corrections would send a letter asking an individual to send sensitive information in this format. They say if you get a letter like this, report it to the Maine Sex Offender Registry. Their number there is 624-7270. They can also contact their local law enforcement office. Ellsworth High School administrators are taking action after they say the repeated vandalism of the school boys' bathrooms. According to the Bangor Daily News, both bathrooms have been closed off on and off throughout the year after one of the bathrooms' interiors was, quote, trashed. Toilet paper dispensers were ripped down and toilets were clogged and overflowed due to too much paper. Male students were told to use single occupancy bathrooms that are open to anyone. No students have been disciplined so far. A Down East community is considering whether to overturn a nearly century-old ban put in place for conservation and public safety. As our Alex Schley tells us, while there is broad agreement that the deer population needs to be addressed on MDI, there are also real concerns about what changing that policy could mean to public safety.
On May 11th, Tremont voters will decide whether to allow limited deer hunting by residents and property owners.
Well, the deer population is very large.
Hunting has been prohibited anywhere on Mount Desert Island since the 1930s.
You can see anywhere between 20 to 100 in an evening drive between Southwest and Tremont.
As both the human and deer population in Tremont have grown, officials say so have the number of incidents.
Very common to have deer vehicle crashes. They are constantly causing nuisances with people's gardens and landscaping.
State wildlife officials say this is not the first time deer numbers have become a concern for Mount Desert Island communities.
Really every 5 or 10 years with some town on MDI where they talk about different deer removal options, and those planning things, they get to various stages, but they usually fall short.
Town officials say that at the request of residents, any approved hunting would be strictly regulated.
Archery and shotgun only. You have to be a Tremont resident or a property owner in Tremont to do it. You'll have to come here to the town office to verify that information and get a permit. It is required to be from a fixed blind or a tree stand, so there's no walking through the woods looking for a deer.
Hunters would also need landowners' permission, and property owners would be required to disclose where stands are located. If passed, the ordinance would allow hunting each November for 3 years, before going back to the select board for review. In Tremont, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, the time now is 6:12. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, the Brooklyn Boatyard has received an important loan that will help it expand and boost the state's economy in the process. We'll have the details coming up. But first, another check of that forecast. A beautiful day ahead today. Mostly sunny and windy with highs near 52 degrees. Partly cloudy and breezy tonight with lows dropping down to the low 30s. Tomorrow, even warmer, partly cloudy with highs near 61. Spring is finally here, folks. We'll be back right after this.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Located on Wilson Street in Brewer, Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, where you'll find only the best sushi, Asian favorites, and specialty crafted cocktails that will satisfy anyone. Try tatami seating for an immersive experience. Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, bringing delicious traditions to you.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
At the Challenger Learning Center of Maine, our mission to inspire Maine students has never been stronger. Our newly renovated facility is open and ready to launch. We have upgraded simulator rooms, refreshed learning spaces, and new hands-on STEM experiences. Check out our exciting upcoming events for students, educators, and families. There's always something happening at Challenger. Ready for liftoff? Explore what's new and what's next at the Challenger Learning Center of Maine. Visit astronaut.org for details.
A Mid-Coast Maine boatyard is getting a major boost from the state, aimed at expanding advanced marine technology while preserving traditional craftsmanship. Our Alexa Kennedy tells us more.
Brooklyn Boatyard was awarded a $1.5 million zero-interest loan through the Maine Technology Institute. The funding will support construction of a new service building, complete with an advanced composites room and expanded machine shop. Since 1960, the business has specialized in custom boat building, which has grown to blend traditional wooden craftsmanship with modern technology. Chief Operating Officer Nick Carter says the timing aligned well with increasing customer demand.
Just in the last 5 years, we've seen really substantial growth growth. It's been a good market for boats. We're applying new techniques all the time, and as the technology advances, we're really incorporating that into our boats.
The state's investment is part of a broader push to drive growth in Maine's innovation economy. At Brooklyn Boat Yard, that means blending technology with tradition.
We've always stayed much more grounded in kind of old school craftsmanship than most any other place has. But we still have to embrace all the modern technology in order to stay up to date and stay competitive in a modern boat building environment.
The Brooklyn Boat Yard team says the technology will be used to aid employees rather than replace them.
We're replacing kind of the lower skilled, less fun parts that don't necessarily teach boat building. They're not part of our track that gets people to be skilled craftsmen.
Brooklyn Boat Yard President Brian Larkin says the upgrades will also improve working spaces for employees and eventually create new job opportunities. In Brooklyn, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The Husson University campus is bursting with school spirit for the 8th annual Giving Day and 1st annual Spirit Day. Giving Day is a 24-hour fundraising campaign that supports clubs, sports, and academics. A staple of the event is the Cash Cab, a decked-out security cart inspired by the Cash Cab television show. Students donate at least $5 for a chance to ride in the cart, answering Husson-themed trivia questions along the way. However, 3 wrong answers and you're immediately kicked right out of the cart. Organizers hope to show how much fun it can be to give back.
What we're trying to do is bring the entire Husson community together to spread the message that it doesn't matter how much you give, it's the fact that you give that really makes a big impact.
Well, yesterday also marked the 1st annual Husson Spirit Day. Students, faculty, and alumni were encouraged to wear green and gold attire. Husson University's president says the hope is to further elevate their sense of community.
Gives lots of visibility for how much enthusiasm and commitment to the Husson mission that we have here on our campus, and it also allows our alumni to be connected, whether they have their Husson sweatshirts or a mug through social media. They can still be committed and connected regardless of their location across the country or throughout the world.
A fun day yesterday at Husson University. All right, the time now is 6:12. Coming up after the break, the ceasefire with Iran is underway this morning, but the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz is in jeopardy. We'll tell you why. Plus, students from several schools have been competing in a farm-to-table cook-off to highlight the importance of school nutrition programs. We'll give you a sample as Good Morning Maine continues.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Are you in need of remodeling your bathroom? Want to convert your tub into a safe walk-in shower? Call the experts at Bangor Bathrooms by Design now. They offer complete bathroom remodels, and from start to finish, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call them now and save thousands. 659-6457. Enjoy that brand new bathroom you've always wanted from Bangor Bathrooms by Design. Transforming bathrooms, elevating lives.
My name is Rebecca Babrod, and I'm studying my master's in social work at the University of Maine. After high school, I went to college in upstate New York, but then got involved with life and family, so I had a college education but no degree. When I first thought about going back to school, it seemed really intimidating. One of the great things about an online program is that you can combine studying as part of your day. I'm actually studying right now. It's such a great feeling to have made myself important in the process and to continue my education.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
School nutrition teams from all around the state have been competing in the annual Farm to School Cook-Off. On Wednesday, the competition came to a conclusion, with one team being crowned the cook-off champion. Our Grace Blanchard has the story.
Competitors in Maine's annual Farm to School Cook-Off faced off in a final battle at Bangor High School on Wednesday.
The team that wins today will receive a plaque, a Farm to School Champion award.
Teams representing MSAD-1, MSAD-52, and RSU-22 have been competing in regional competitions as part of the Maine Department of Education's 11th annual competition that aims to highlight school nutrition programs.
We really want to promote all the great work that's happening in school nutrition programs across Maine. We really are a leader in the country and the Northeast when it comes to local foods and school meals.
Teams must prepare breakfast and lunch meals all within a set time frame, using at least 1 USDA food and 3 local ingredients.
We're all bringing different ideas and kind of collaborating, and yes, we're all competing, but it's a really good thing to be able to see what the other people are doing.
Local foods play an essential role in school nutrition efforts.
We're using local ingredients and then therefore supporting the farmers who can then continue to create these local ingredients, and a rising tide that lifts all ships. Our kids get to eat great local produce, and then our farmers are also able to survive. So.
The judges ultimately crowned Team Nourish Kids of RSU 22 as the cook-off champions. All recipes presented during the cook-off will now be compiled into a cookbook for other school nutrition teams to use in lunchrooms statewide.
This is a way that we can kind of push this towards them, and then and at least in one small way we can make sure they're getting a good nutritious meal.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And the time now is 6:21. Let's turn things back over to Devin Biggs for a full look at our weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Wave heights very quiet out there this morning at around 2 to 3 feet. According to the buoys, we have no advisories in effect along the coastline because of the low surf. 2 to 4 feet farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, high pressure keeping us calm on land as well. We do have low pressure farther off towards the north and west, so with the two areas very close together, the winds will be rather active coming up throughout the daytime period today. This energy will be tracking off towards the east. It will be losing its precipitation as it does get closer to us, but we will notice the energy as it does move in later on tonight. So sunshine today. We'll notice the cold front moving in later on tonight. Not much fanfare with it, but even as we head towards your Friday, some clouds approaching. There's the rainfall on the way as we head towards Friday night, and even as we head towards your Saturday, we'll still notice the clouds. Not a lot of rainfall with this. We'll notice around 1/4 of an inch, maybe up to 1/2 inch of precipitation before we're all finished up with this. So nothing too ridiculous. We could use the precipitation, though. Still moderate to severe drought across a good part of the state, and a lot of the country under some kind of drought right now. Southern parts of the U.S., even the western parts of the U.S. under some form of drought right now. So we could definitely use the precipitation in many parts of the U.S. at this time. Gusty winds a thing today, up to 20 to 30 miles per hour. We'll keep the gusty winds going tonight and even more as we head towards tomorrow. So an active time for the wind at this point. Sunshine and windy today, lower 50s for the high, south wind at around 30 miles per hour. Tonight, low 30s, partly cloudy and breezy, south wind at around 25 miles per hour. And then there's tomorrow, low 60s, not bad. Partly cloudy, the wind's kind of backing off out of the south at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer, showing a chance for morning rain showers on your Saturday, becoming partly cloudy with highs in the low 50s, and then mid-50s coming up for your Sunday under a partly cloudy sky. Rain chances for your Monday, highs back in the low 60s.
Bogies offers a different kind of night out in Bangor, blending a full restaurant with sports simulators, axe throwing, and live music. We have something for everyone. Bogies, a new way to play.
Most business problems start with one thing: unreliable technology. Digital Brains monitors, protects, and maintains your entire IT environment, keeping everything running flawlessly. When your technology works for you, your business starts thriving. Faster service, happier clients, more productivity, less stress. Clients don't wait, neither should you. Contact Digital Brains today for your free technology assessment. Digital Brains, we help people feel free.
Hey! That ought to do it. Who hurt you?
Who has the best ballpark food in Major League Baseball?
Good morning, America. It's Mookie Betts. Good morning, America. It's Kyle Schwarber here.
What's up, good morning, America? It's Kyle Raleigh here.
Well, this week it's
The best ballpark bites in America.
on Good Morning America.
When I die, forget the stairway to heaven. I want to ride that house. I want to ride that house. I want to ride that house.
I want to swim there.
Only black people will swim.
Family Feud.
Weekdays at 9 on ABC 7.
Bogies offers a different kind of night out in Bangor, blending a full restaurant with sports simulators, axe throwing, and live music. We have something for everyone. Bogies, a new way to play.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Now to the latest with the war on Iran. The White House says a fragile ceasefire is holding, but an issue arising. Iran is refusing to reopen traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, claiming the U.S. has gone back on one of its promises. ABC's Olivia Rubin has the latest.
Overnight, the first test for President Trump's fragile ceasefire.
No ceasefire ever goes without a little bit of choppiness.
Iran now balking at Trump's main request, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, because they say the Trump administration reversed course on a key element of the plan for Israel to stop bombing Lebanon. But the U.S. saying that was never part of the deal at all.
I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise.
Israel launching a barrage of attacks on the country. At least 182 people killed on Wednesday alone, the health ministry said. Now, Iran keeping a tight hold on the strait once again. This video showing the traffic there, few vessels crossing.
The only way to really bring down oil and gas prices and other prices that they're driving up is to end this illegal war of choice and to do it now.
The average gallon of gas at a staggering $4.16, a far cry from pre-war prices below $3 a gallon. Experts say even if the strait fully reopens, it will take months for consumers to see any relief at the pump. Overnight, the president posting on social media the U.S. military will remain in and around Iran during the ceasefire, strikingly adding the U.S. military is, quote, looking forward, actually, to its next conquest. And with all the uncertainty here, the White House now saying the first in-person negotiations will occur this weekend in Pakistan. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
In other news, a man known as the Gilgo Beach serial killer has admitted to his crimes. Rex Heuermann appeared in court yesterday where he changed his plea to guilty in the murders of 8 women. The New York architect had been living a double life, targeting sex workers over 2 decades, starting in 1993. The remains were all found over a number of years, scattered along Gilgo Beach on Long Island. Some of the victims' families were in court yesterday as Heuermann pled guilty. He'll now spend the rest of his life in prison. Well, experts and tech gurus are raising new concerns about the power of artificial intelligence and global security. It comes after the AI company Anthropic held off releasing its new model to the public out of concerns over what it could do, potentially crippling computer networks. Olivia Rubin also has that story.
This morning, artificial intelligence experts sounding the alarm after AI giant Anthropic revealed a new model it says is too powerful to release to the public.
Imagine a world where everyone had a nuclear bazooka, basically.
Anthropic says its new model, called Claude Mythos, can identify software vulnerabilities with ease, finding thousands of security issues across nearly every major operating system and web browser. And in something out of a sci-fi movie, Claude Mythos was placed in a secure environment with no internet access, managing to break out.
During testing, Claude Mythos Preview broke out of a sandbox environment, built a moderately sophisticated multi-step exploit to gain internet access, and emailed a researcher while they were eating a sandwich in the park.
Experts say in the wrong hands, this technology could be used to exploit electric grids, hospitals, and even military systems. Now, instead of releasing Claude Mythos to the public, Anthropic is releasing it just to a small number of companies, including Amazon, Google, and Apple. The goal? To allow tech companies to patch holes in their cybersecurity before they're exploited. Anthropic saying this will eventually help the U.S. defend against foreign cyber attacks. Some experts say it's time for nations to work together on handling this technology.
Both China and America will be hugely vulnerable to criminals within their own societies when they have these tools, much more vulnerable than they're going to be to any threat the other would pose.
Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Now on to the Artemis II mission, returning from the moon. We heard from the astronauts overnight, and we're also learning about the food they've been eating while in space. Sophie Flay with that report.
From In Integrity, we are ready for the event.
Overnight, the Artemis II crew checking in as they prepare for one of the most dangerous parts of the mission, re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. They're expected to reach a speed of nearly 35,000 feet per second, ahead of splashdown off the San Diego coast tomorrow.
We were asked, what are we looking forward to? And I said splashdown. And there's so much data that you've seen already, but all the good stuff is coming back with us. There's so many more pictures, so many more stories.
Beyond all that data, this mission is also testing how humans survive in space, right down to what they eat.
Those are green beans. So we do have to eat our vegetables even in space.
The food is designed to balance calorie needs, hydration, and nutrition, while still accommodating the astronauts' preferences. The crew started choosing their meals years ago.
That's when we have crew members come in to try all the food we have to offer on the standard menu, and then work with crew members to come up with this personalized menu.
Without refrigeration as an option, many meals are freeze-dried and rehydratable. The menu includes 189 items, including beverages such as coffee, lemonade, and cocoa, and food choices like tortillas, mac and cheese, and beef brisket. Some Canadian favorites are on board for mission specialist Jeremy Hansen, along with 5 different hot sauces, and for good reason.
Due to the microgravity, crew members' body fluid shift upwards. That make them have like a stuffy nose sensation. You don't smell things very well in microgravity. And the smell of the food is a big part of your sensory perception of the food.
The crew even has shrimp cocktail, an item that was also available to astronauts during the Apollo program nearly 60 years ago. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Very interesting. Hey, a quick update on a story we brought to you yesterday regarding that Hawaiian doctor who was accused of trying to kill his wife by pushing her off a cliff. Well, the jury came to a verdict yesterday and they found him guilty of the lesser charge of attempted manslaughter. Gerhard Koenig will now be sentenced sometime in August. And coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll meet Maine's Game Warden of the Year. That and more straight ahead.
Need a driveway paved or an entire road surfaced? Give Eaton Paving and Excavation a call. Eaton Paving offers a full line of excavation packages, from new home projects to new and replacement septics and driveways. We also install new shoreland and do shoreland repairs. Our operators have more than 75 years combined experience, and we have been delivering quality, professional service for nearly 3 decades. We strive to exceed your expectations. Give us a call today at 207-348-5630 or visit us at EatonPaving.com.
ABC 7, Fox 22, the place we call home, telling Maine stories wherever you roam. From sunrise shores to forests of pine, hard work, strong hearts, values that shine. From old towns to harbors, back roads to ocean blue.
watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Today is Thursday, April 9th, 2026, and this is also the last day of Passover. All right, let's get right to some history. It was on this date back in 1865, Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered his army to Union General Ulysses S. Grant. That meeting took place at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia following 4 years of Civil War. The fighting had killed 360,000 Union troops and 260,000 Confederate soldiers. In 1912 on this date, the first exhibition baseball game was held at Fenway Park between the Red Sox and the team from Harvard University. And in 1942, during World War II, some 75,000 Philippine and American soldiers surrendered to Japanese troops. The prisoners of war were then forced to march 65 miles to POW camps in what has become known as the Bataan Death March. Thousands of prisoner soldiers were killed or died en route to those camps. 1959, NASA introduced the Mercury 7 astronauts, America's first astronauts. The group included John Glenn, who became the first American to orbit the Earth. 1965, the Houston Astrodome opened up, becoming the first indoor air-conditioned sports stadium. And in 2003, Baghdad fell to American troops on this date during the Iraq War after 6 days of fightings. All right, let's get to birthdays. They include actress Elle Fanning, who is 28 years old today. We've been watching her grow up on screen. Actor Dennis Quaid is 72, and talk show host Joe Scarborough is 63 years old today. We'd like to also wish you a happy birthday if your birthday is today. We hope you have a great day. We'll certainly have good weather for it. Looks like more sunny skies on the way. Let's check back in with Devin.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. A little bit of energy up in Canada, but otherwise a nice day on the way for us with a lot of sunshine, and we have high pressure to thank for the nice weather that will be on the way for us. As we do zoom things out, there's some energy off toward the west, and we'll be watching for some rain chances on the way for us, but otherwise some nice weather expected. But either way, Futurecast showing a mostly sunny sky today. Notice some clouds on the way coming up later on tonight, and we'll watch for a little bit of energy on the way for your Friday, but we'll have to wait until Friday night for some more rain chances. Otherwise, gusty winds coming up, reaching up to around 20 to even 30 miles per hour today, even in the parts of the evening. We'll keep those winds going until about Friday, but even then, still some gusts up to around 20 miles per hour. Even for today, sunshine, lower 50s, not bad. There's that south wind up to around 30 miles per hour. Hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, temperatures in the 50s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig?
All right, thank you, Devin. Might be a good day to eat lunch outside. Loving that sunny weather. When we come back, Jack Webb with all the day's sports news. Hope he can speak better than I can. We'll be right back.
Grab a cup, fill it up, top it off, weigh it up. Here at Sweet Frog, you are in total control. Sweet Frog, where our secret ingredient is fun.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
Give your home or business a clean slate. From roofs to carpets, siding to storefronts, we clean it all, inside and out. Locally owned, fully insured, and committed to quality. No job too big or small. Message us on Facebook at Clean Slate Services 207 or call 207-631-0500 for a free estimate. Clean Slate Services. Your property renewed.
Grab a cup, fill it up, top it off, weigh it up. Here at Sweet Frog, you are in total control. Sweet Frog, where our secret ingredient is fun.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. Spring season is almost underway, and the Herman Hawks are preparing to make another run at the Class B state title. Our Max Sturm has a story.
To make it to the state title game once is an accomplishment in itself. To make it 2 times in a row is a whole other challenge. But that is exactly what the Herman Hawks softball team is seeking out in 2026. That goal starts with preseason practices, where the Hawks must work to become a cohesive unit on the field and build trust.
We all work pretty hard off the off season, so we come in kind of like that much further ahead in the year. So now we're just working on like how to work together.
I'm fortunate that a lot of our kids play year round, and so we really highlight the fundamentals. That gives us the ability when we come out here to kind of work on the mental side of the game and work on the strategy of the game.
The Hawks are without their large senior core from last year, and the 2 seniors on this year's squad say leadership will need to be an attribute displayed by every player.
We're a very small group, so the more we speak out, the better we're going to be, I think, and we lead as an example.
We always say to be a leader, you have to be the hardest working, so we find that everyone who's like working hard or going out of their way wants to be a leader, and we're all kind of leaders here. We don't have like people who like captains necessarily.
A championship-level team requires championship-level culture, a crucial piece of the puzzle the Hawks have zero doubts about when it pertains to their team.
We harp on this all the time. We always talk about the fact that, you know, talent can win games, but it's a team that wins championships.
You know the person behind you has your back, and if you make a mistake, like you know your teammate's going to pick you up. Nobody's going to be upset, and you're going to be able to get the next one.
Maintaining that mentality through the entirety of the season is the key the Herman Hawks say will finally get them over the hump.
It's just bringing everyone together and having that culture, because I think last year we got down on each other a little bit when we had that 1-0 run.
I think it's going to be the culture, because we know we're a talented group. We just have to know that we can truly trust each other.
They're motivated, they've been there, and it's just a matter right now of going out every day and staying focused and locked in and improving every day.
I definitely know that we can do it, and I have full confidence in my team.
From Herman, Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports.
Thank you for that, Max. Good luck to those Hawks. Well, hockey fans, the Boston Bruins have a 99% chance to make the playoffs with just 3 games remaining, and the Bees just added some firepower for that push. Boston signed 2025 7th overall pick James Higgins to his entry-level contract. The Boston College Eagle signed an AHL deal with Providence back in March to begin his pro career, but many assume this call-up was coming before season's end. Higgins led the Hockey East in scoring this past season, recording 23 goals and 24 assists. Bruins fans hoping the 5'11", 193-pound forward can have an impact as the Bees make a run at the postseason. He'll wear number 44 with the Bruins, a number worn by Dennis Seidenberg, and will make his debut at the Garden on Saturday afternoon against the Lightning. That is great news. Following their 3rd win of the season on Tuesday night, the Red Sox had a quick turnaround and we're back at it on Wednesday at 1:35 looking for a series win. Sonny Gray on the bump for the Sox, and he had himself a day. Here he is in the 3rd, 2 in scoring position, and he fans the batter to get out of the inning. Next frame now, Wilson Contreras up with the bases loaded. He draws the walk, 1-0 Sox. That's one way to open the scoring right there. Then it's Wilyer Abreu's turn. Same inning, he drives one hard at former Red Sox David Hamilton. It takes a wild hop to the shortstop who fires it to first, but Abreu gets there safe with an RBI single. Top of the 7th now. Gray still on the bump, but after this out, his day would be done. 6 1/3 innings, no earned runs, and 2 strikeouts, exactly what the Red Sox needed from a starter. Then in the bottom of the frame, Story's bat is heating up. He pokes a single out to left center, which scores a run as the Sox take the series against the now 8-4 Brewers with this 5-0 win. Well, Cooper Flagg is making a late push for Rookie of the Year. His campaign continued on Tuesday night in Los Angeles. Flag received a pass, drove down the lane, and put longtime veteran Brooke Lopez on a poster. I mean, what a slam from Flag. He's been doing that to people all year long. Lopez, his latest victim. Flag scored 25 points to go along with 9 rebounds in the Mavericks' loss to the Clippers. Flag's currently a minus 290 favorite to win NBA Rookie of the Year with just 3 games remaining this season. Finally, golf fans, get your picks in because the Masters tournament starts Thursday morning. Round 1 coverage begins Thursday morning on ESPN Plus, Masters.com, and the Masters app. Main coverage begins on Amazon Prime from 1 to 3, then ESPN from 3 to 7:30. Same deal for round 2 on Friday with morning coverage on those outlets and the main broadcast on at 3 on ESPN. On Saturday, it switches over to CBS. Same thing on Sunday with final round coverage on CBS from 2 to 7. Hard to pick him this year. I hope Justin Rose finally gets his due. For now, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Hey guys, see anything in the clouds? That one kind of looks like a cat.
Santa Claus. Wow. Eating a sandwich.
That's specific.
A car that sees what you can't.
Yep, that's him.
How it should be. The Hyundai Tucson.
Lease an all-wheel drive Hyundai Tucson SE for $209 a month, or get 0% APR plus 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry in.
With over 30 years of experience, Patriot General Contractors knows how to get your home renovation project done right. Our certified contractors can help you build, redesign, or finish the project of your dreams. Check out Facebook page for reviews and visit patriotgeneralcontractors.com to schedule your quote today. Patriot General Contractors, redesigning your properties for the future.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Wasn't just Marty McFly's salvation in Back to the Future. He helped inspire a generation of real-life science nerds. And this morning, we're meeting one remarkable young science kid who may soon crack the code of powering a flex capacitor without plutonium. Here's ABC's Danny New.
Hey guys, Learning with Sean the Science Kid here, and have you ever wondered why we get paper cuts?
For Sean Adechobi of Georgia, he's pretty much always been old enough to teach adults about science.
So, Sean, how old are we now? 12?
Well, 11, going on 100.
You're 11 going on 100.
Over the past few years, Sean has picked up more than 1 million followers on social media while sharing his love of science.
Today you are gonna learn about the heart.
Starting when he was around 5 years old.
Ever since I was a kid, I've been more in the biology sector, but now I'm shifting towards a mix of biology and physics.
Maybe not surprising to hear, but Sean is also a bit of a genius. This past year, this now 11-year-old skipped from 6th grade to 9th grade, which he and his mother Eunice do not seem surprised about.
At 3 years, he was 2nd grade level.
3 years old, he was 2nd grade level?
Yes. We got to know he could read at 9 months, so that's kind of where the journey started.
However, despite Sean's advanced intellect,
Did you know that you produce 1 to 2 liters of saliva daily?
he says it's very important to him to keep science accessible. He never wants to sound like,
Actually, I've made the most prestigious discovery in science ever. Instead of actually educating people, you're just bragging about your brain. This is your brain, and this is your heart.
So even with his increasing workload, Sean is continuing his mission to spread his love of science, with his sights set on reaching college by 13. Meanwhile, most of us have already long forgotten what we learned in high school.
What is the equation for kinetic energy?
K equals... Oh boy.
Sean told me his dream school is Stanford, and he also told me our stomachs have a layer of mucus that replenishes itself every few days. isn't learning fun? In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Very smart and funny. I love that kid. All right, let's turn things back over to Devin Biggs one more time for a full look at our weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Wave Heights very quiet out there this morning at around 2 to 3 feet. According to the buoys, we have no advisories in effect along the coastline because of the low surf. 2 to 4 feet farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, high pressure keeping us calm on land as well. We do have low pressure farther off towards the north and west, so with the two areas very close together, the winds will be rather active coming up throughout the daytime period today. This energy will be tracking off towards the east. It will be losing its precipitation as it does get closer to us, but we will notice the energy as it does move in later on tonight. So sunshine today. We'll notice the cold front moving in later on tonight. Not much fanfare with it, but even as we head towards your Friday, some clouds approaching. There's the rainfall on the way as we head towards Friday night, and even as we head towards your Saturday, we'll still notice the clouds. Not a lot of rainfall with this. We'll notice around 1/4 of an inch, maybe up to 1/2 inch of precipitation before we're all finished up with this. So nothing too ridiculous. We could use the precipitation, though. Still moderate to severe drought across a good part of the state, and a lot of the country under some kind of drought right now. Southern parts of the U.S., even the western parts of the U.S. under some form of drought right now. So we could definitely use the precipitation in many parts of the U.S. at this time. Gusty winds a thing today, up to 20 to 30 miles per hour. We'll keep the gusty winds going tonight and even more as we head towards tomorrow. So an active time for the wind at this point. Sunshine and windy today, lower 50s for the high, south wind at around 30 miles per hour. Tonight, low 30s, partly cloudy and breezy, south wind at around 25 miles per hour. And then there's tomorrow, low 60s, not bad. Partly cloudy, the wind's kind of backing off out of the south at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer, showing a chance for morning rain showers on your Saturday, becoming partly cloudy with highs in the low 50s, and then mid-50s coming up for your Sunday under a partly cloudy sky. Rain chances for your Monday, highs back in the low 60s.
Lights, camera, cheese! The Cheese House is looking for its next star, and it could be you. If you're 21 or older, enter for your chance to appear in the next commercial. Stop by the Cheese House at 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield to enter. While you're there, browse their huge selection of glassware and 420 specialty foods. But we have the cheese! Remember, entries are happening in person at the Cheese House, 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield. Bring your personality, bring your smile, and we have the cheese.
When it comes to your home, go to the source. Go to R&B's Home Source in Madison. R&B's Home Source has home comfort, convenience, and savings all wrapped up in one location. From the living room to the dining room to the bedroom, we have some of the best values in furniture and bedding. For the kitchen, R&B's Home Source has top-notch appliances from fridges to ranges, even washers and dryers. And sit back and relax with quality electronics. We service everything we sell too. For your home, go to the source. R&B's Home Source, Lakewood Road, Madison.
You want to file free? Hit it. Don't wait. File before 4/15.
Celebrity Jeopardy All-Stars.
Where's Madame Butterfly?
See, you do know your opera. Which star will shine with $1 million for charity on the line?
I'm just excited. Should I continue with the game Jeopardy?
At any time.
Celebrity Jeopardy All-Stars, new Friday on ABC.
The Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife took time to recognize exceptional service among its ranks, including naming Game Warden Sergeant Chad Robertson as the Game Warden of the Year. According to the department, Robertson is a 13-year veteran of the Maine Warden Service and patrols the greater Skowhegan area. They say Warden Robertson is consistently one of the busiest wardens in the state, producing strong cases on a variety of violations like night hunting, hunting big game in closed seasons, bag limit violations, illegal hunting, and more. Robertson has also played a significant role in recruiting and training new game wardens and serves as a canine handler. He and his canine Storm were deployed 24 times in 2025 and located 6 missing people. Congratulations to Warden Robertson and his dog, too. Well, a Bactrian camel named Sophia has been born at a zoo in Bedfordshire, UK. The long-legged camel, which was born on March 21st to Mom Izzy and Dad Oakley at the Whipsnade Zoo. A camel keeper at the zoo says Izzy gave birth right in the middle of the paddock when visitors were driving by. Sophia brings the Bactrian camel herd at the zoo to the number now is at 8. There are fewer than 950 wild camels left in the deserts of Mongolia and China, as hunting and water scarcity caused by humans is largely to blame. Zoo officials gave the calf the full name of Sophia Raffles, who was the first woman to become a fellow for the charity in 1826, making the Zoological Society of London the first society to allow women in the UK. The society will celebrate its 200th anniversary at the end of the month, and they have a new camel to celebrate as well. What a beautiful animal. All right, that'll do it for this hour, folks. We thank you for joining us. We'll continue broadcasting on Fox 22 for the next couple of hours. Later on this morning, the folks from Bangor Humane Society will be here with our Pet of the Week. We always look forward to that. That's it for now, though, folks. Thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great day.
With Maine's largest network of parts,
Spring at the Honda Spring Event with the 2025 Kelley Blue Book Best Value brand. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or hurry into your local Honda dealer today.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
I know that you're sitting right in front of me, but can I say hi to Douglas?
Obviously.
Hey, gorgeous. Hi, Douglas.
Douglas is making this interview super fun. When I rescued him, he was 8 weeks old.
I'm being licked right here.
Dougie's really the star.
Where does the dog go after the show?
My house.
Weekdays at 11 on Fox 22.
Bring on the spring at the Honda Spring Event with the 2025 Kelley Blue Book Best Value brand. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or hurry into your local Honda dealer today.
Good Morning Maine on WFVX, Fox 22. From the Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, state lawmakers burn the midnight oil to pass a budget plan that includes checks for Mainers. We'll have the latest coming up. Plus, residents of Tremont consider lifting a hunting ban to deal with an increasing population of deer. And the Brooklyn Boatyard receives a big loan to help boost marine technology and Maine's economy in the process. We'll have that story as well. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. I'm Craig Colson. Janessa Bishop has the day off. We appreciate you being there. We'll have all the day's news coming up over the next hour, but first a check of that forecast. Looking like today will be another beautiful spring day. Lots of sunshine out there and temperatures getting up to around 50, maybe a little bit higher than 50 degrees. It's going to feel nice.